Hey AP parents, happy 2020. Good to see you all, and I hope that you had an absolutely wonderful holiday. I want to catch you up a little bit on what's going on in AP Lang here for the next few weeks in preparation for the midterm, as well as talk a little bit about perhaps kind of where students are at as far as kind of their mental state with their timed writing. So we'll talk a little bit about that too. For the actual AP exam in May, they have to do multiple choice, an hour long, and then 3 separate essays. Each essay they get about 40 minutes to write. Their midterm, they do not have to do multiple choice, but they're going to do 2 of the 3 essays, similar to what they're going to see on the exam. And really, I think students are ready for it. I think they're going to do a nice job, and I think that the prompts that they're going to see in truth are, I don't want to say easier, but perhaps more accessible than some of the ones that we've worked on and trying to be working our way through. So I think students can find a lot of success on what they're going to see on the midterm. To help them, though, in preparation for that, the more writing they can do, the better. And so we're going to be doing some work over the next few weeks, more practice on navigating text for rhetorical analysis, as well as kind of some brainstorming of where is it that we go with our argument writings. Students received 2 essays back now that they came back from break. Some of them decided to write 2 different argument essays. Some wrote an argument essay and then they chose to do a rhetorical analysis as their second essay. But either way, they got those 2 essays back. Check in and kind of see where they're at as far as their headspace with the scores that they received back on those. They were scored against the AP rubric. The nice thing about those is I think the rubrics are fairly clear. The problem is rubrics are also really rigid. There are a lot of students who are right on the edge of a 2 or a 3, but there are no 2.5s. And so I think some students certainly were really happy with their scores, and I also know that some students perhaps got their scores back and said, gosh, I was really hoping to move into that next category. What's not quite going right? If your student is in that spot, there are a few things for them that you need to really encourage them to kind of take advantage of. One of those is the essays they received also came with a note sheet. My takeaways from grading over the break and saying, here's some of the things that I saw that I really liked. Here are some moves that some of your students, your fellow students made. There were really smart moves for where they looked for evidence and what they did with that evidence. And that way they can kind of do a little comparing and contrasting with their own essays. I also tried to highlight some of the traps that students fell into. That way perhaps they can go back and recognize them in their own. A lot of students are going to just look at the score and then want to move on. That note sheet is really, really useful. So ask them certainly how they did on their essay. Their initial response is just going to be to tell you what their score was. Challenge them a little bit though to look at perhaps why they think they received the score they did, what they saw in the rubric that maybe aligns with their writing, and also what they saw in that note sheet. The other thing that's going to be useful for them, if they are interested in doing so, they can do a bonus on-demand writing. I think this is a really, really good idea for a few different reasons. And just so you know, this writing is going to take place after school, Wednesday or Thursday or Friday of next week, whichever day is most convenient for each individual student. And they can write either an argument or an on-demand rhetorical analysis for that. If they take that on, it can only help their grade. It will replace a low score. So that, just in terms of the grade, will hopefully intrigue them a little bit. But it's also great practice to go ahead and say, what are the lessons that I can learn based on the writings that I've been doing? How can I go ahead and get another practice in before the midterm in which they're asked to write a rhetorical analysis and an argument? So encourage them to take advantage of either Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday of next week. They just have to fill out a Google form that tells me which day they're coming and which of the 2 types of essays they would like to work on. And last but not least, I also sent out a conferencing form for them. If they are interested, I'm available before school, after school, this week, as well as next week, and advisory hour. I would love to sit down with your students and continue to kind of work through some of these things and maybe answer some questions, as well as do a little problem solving and talk about the fact that it is me and them up against the College Board a little bit. 40 minutes to write an essay is not a lot. We need to be as efficient as we can be. We need to do the best that we can do, but we're being put in a tough situation. How do we navigate that tough situation? So check in on how the headspace of your student is, and if there's any frustration, or if they feel like maybe not frustration, but they say, yes, I know I can do better. I want to try and do better. Encourage them to take advantage of conferencing as well as some of those opportunities to do a new essay to keep honing those skills. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please don't hesitate to reach out. Shoot me an email, and of course encourage your students to do the same, and hopefully I'll see some of them for conferencing. I hope that's been as beneficial for them as it has been for me in my planning. Have an absolutely great week, and happy talking writing with your students. I hope it's fruitful. Take care.